Alrighty, I am tuning in a tiny bit late for this cast. Um, Looks like I've missed most of this map. However, we do still have two ahead of us. Oh, what were the teams? Oh, right. It was no name. I believe it's a mix of different players, maybe trying out new rosters, but it is Bros versus No Name. Alrighty. We do see picks coming out. They have taken storage. There are two players waterfall though. Only one on site. Crash Out could get EMP planted. However, he decides to swing here. Wallbang damage going out. Player in sight has rotated to waits. They now have a nade. Wall is blown. And we see a swing out here. Chicago is able to get the refrag there. And now our last player is crouch walking in storage. If Crash Out loses this, it goes to match point for Bros. The player has rotated off Waterfall. This could be an opening to get that foam or any other utility that is there. Leaving the foam, he does have EMP though. You'll have to be careful for this player on bar. Ooh. And Chicago is able to get that pick. The Aurel doing a lot of damage. That's going to be match point for Bros. We'll see if No Name is able to pull back this first map. We're now on middle floor, Bros on defense. 6-2 match point. No Name is at a pretty big gun and utility. Or no, mostly just a gun disadvantage. They have a lot of utility. Interestingly enough, Elite isn't buying out, same with Plane. This could be the last round of the map, so it would be a lot smarter to use that $1,400 you have there. Flashbangs go out, a little bit of utility traded there. Crash Out takes a lot of damage from that. Instant goes down. That's going to also start the push here on Laundry. Hopefully his teammate is watching that window from door. Looks like they are commencing this push. Pinch there from Laundry and Garage. Very good play. Now they just have to be careful of this flank. Plane does seem to be on that flank watch. Hopefully they are not too close though. Chicago and Showtime trading kills. And now this flank is going to start being a problem. Ooh, Chicago swings out, gets that pick, and Spike Jr. also gets Plane on the roam. That's going to be map 1 for Bros. If you are just tuning in, I did miss the first 3/4 of map 1, but it's fine. We're here for map 2 and 3. Hideout is 7-2. Interested to see what map 2 will be though. I'm gonna have to wait a sec to send that link to Crazy Lee. However, Final scores for those who are interested. Spike Jr. doing a very good job, 14 and 5. Chicago and Ghost not too far, 9-6, 7-4. We also see Elite 9 and 7. Wow, very low levels coming out here from No Name. Very new people by the looks of it. Some of them doing pretty well despite that. And why isn't my stream showing up? Bros could be getting a sub in. However, we do have our next map, Mall. What? Why is the stream not... Looks like we could be getting a player swapped out on the side of No Name as well. Alright, we are going into second map, Mall. I'm not even sure how you guys are even watching this. What? Alright, well. Sorry, Crazy, you're gonna have to find the link on your own. It is not showing up on my side. Okay, top floor Mall. Bros is on defense. Very aggro play coming out so far. A lot of space taken very early on. 15 seconds have passed and they have control of food core. Ooh, but Spike Jr. on the door takes out Elite. Going to have to be careful of that corner, however he is very low. Nate goes out. Showtime gets Crash out. He was on A site. They may be considering an A site swap, however. Ooh. ASDF caught out there on the corner. Wall is blown. No one quite on it though. Anson goes out a little bit far though. This will still allow hashtag to go in. Flashbang goes out. That will catch one. However, he goes down and playing on wall also goes down. Pretty good round there from Bros. They did lose a player by the looks of it though. Disconnect. Hopefully they can come back in time. Very good round there from Pros. However, No Name didn't do terribly. They were able to take a lot of, what is it called, mess hall in the first 15 seconds. That was very good. However, after Spike Jr. in that corner got the first pick, it did not end very well for them. Especially since after getting both walls, they kind of split up a lot. And the roam on A side wasn't able to do a whole lot. You tend to want to let the roam go in a similar time as the rest of stuff on the other side is being breached, unless the goal is completely to cause a distraction. Crash out, getting the first pick, very good. Wall is blown, no one in cubby right now. Flashbangs go out. Ooh, Elite is able to get one, refrag, crash out and play, going into sight. Showtime with the 2K. He's gonna be jumped up on by hashtag and he's gonna get that pick. Very aggressive play there. Perhaps they're just better at Maul, at least as far as I can tell. They did not play this aggressive when they were on Hideout. Oh. Apologies, my breachers just crashed. Thank you for the astute observation, Reaper one. Alright, we are back. Same round still. No Name is very beat up. However, they do have player advantage. Both walls are blown. Chicago swings out, or no, Elite. Hashtag is the one that swung out, got picked. Chicago also got another one, playing holding the doorway though. One back here. Crash out is in sight though. Ghost is off site right now. Ooh. They go for the EMP and also swing out a little bit, and ASDF is able to get Ghost there on the flank. Very good. 3 players alive. They're going to be able to carry over 2 rifles and 2 stims. Very good haul there. Going into round 4, No Name has a very big player advantage. And I need to fix this. Bros. No Name. No Name must be like a very new team though, because a lot of these players I haven't seen before. Good being aware of those trip mines. But with TK coming out though, not the greatest. Foam is on wall, and Bros seems mostly ready for it. Instant goes out, that's going to block a very important rotation for them on wall. However, they can still stand up here. However, Elite catches David, who poked his head out. Ghost gets one on the flank. Hashtag gets one. ASDF also goes down. One on stairs, one con. They're going to have to be careful. Spike Jr. goes down to plane, not quite having the trigger finger, and Ghost is able to get one. However, now he's very low. 1v3 situation, EMP's planted. Plane swings out and catches Ghost there at the end. Wow. Some of these players are pretty notable. I'm looking at the No Name VRML website team roster. They have Wizard Gecko, and Plane has also been on SVNA. Or no, who was it? Was it ASDF? ASDF has been on SVNA. Very interesting. Once again, pushing this mess hall side. They do seem to be aware that there will be a roam. Drone will hopefully spot that. However, the push on site has started. One on bomb, they're gonna need to be careful. They do seem to be aware of it. A little bit of damage goes out, they rotate off the angle. Flashbang goes out, catches the player middle. However, there is still one in the corner. Instant goes out, not quite the best. One is on the roam. Elite takes them out. They know one's in the corner. Crash Out swings out, gets one. Chicago refrags that. Elite swings in. 2K now. They know the last one is in con. Showtime gets Elite. Instant goes out. That's going to stop the push up, and Plane gets the pick. Very good round there. They were able to play aggro after that roam went down, and especially that player in the back corner by the door. They swung out a little bit too much. That gave away their position, and then after giving away their position, they were holding the wrong angle. That allowed Crash Out to swing in and get a pick. And after giving a little bit of information to Elite, who was on the wall, they swung out and got a 2K. Very good teamwork there. However, now we're on to swap round. After this round, No Name is going to go on the defense. However, they are up by 3 points. It's 4-1 right now. Does look like we will be seeing another arcade side push. As far as I can tell, they seem to be doing similar pushes every time, except for on bottom floor. However, bottom floor does tend to be a little bit more fair on which side you could go. Showtime here in arcade is able to get a pick. Instant to try and slow down, but Plane gets Showtime. There are 3 ready to take his place though. 1 upstairs, 1 downstairs, and 1 in upper arcade. Second drone goes in, perhaps trying to catch out any other players. However, they have to be careful of this player on stairs. Spike Jr. holding his fire. It's 1 pick. Plane is holding that though. David takes out hashtag, and Plane doesn't seem to be aware of the player on stairs here. Damage taken, and he's going to run. Thankfully, he gets out just in time. He doesn't have EMP, but he does have 2 stims. Ensign goes out, and if bros are smart, they're going to just hold arcade, because EMP is right there in the middle of arcade. Oh, but they're rotating off. This could give an opportunity. YouTube is not. "30 seconds on the clock. Plane is going to have to make a move. He does have EMP. He can go for plant. However, there is a player in a site. They will be able to deny this plant if they swing out soon enough. EMP is getting planted. He's going to have to completely stick it. Last second. And he's out of sight. 1 dead, and Ghost is able to get the refrag. I'm not sure about Elite. I don't know if you can see other games based on... Hang on, let me find them again. Yes. Elite plays for 8 Basils on Veil, Ariel on Veil, Vanguard Season 2, and Sovereign Season 1. He has experience in Veil. Besides that, Bros is now on offense, and it's a bottom floor site. We do see hashtag on the stairs. They're gonna have to be careful for this roam. Hashtag gets 1-2. David refrags that. However, all the defense is here on the door. Spike Jr. gets a 2K. Instant goes out, won't quite go to the right place. David gets a pick though. This is really turned. ASDF is now on his own. That's one pick. However, EMP is on the other side of the doorway. ASDF also has health advantage. Oh, now he just needs one body shot on David and he wins. And that's a 1v3 clutch there. David tried slow walking through wall, however, bad timing caused him to unfortunately get caught out. Very good plays there. And that's going to give No Name 5 points on the board. Starting to look like a complete reverse from last map. Before we saw Bros going 7-2, but now it's 5-2 in the favor of No Name. Going into round 8, we could see match point coming out for No Name, or Bros taking it away. Drone going in. Bros playing quite slow, not exactly taking too much space after the drone. Hopefully they clear that, or calm that. Backside is clear. Spike Jr. has taken space. Flashbang goes out. Push the hallway player back a little bit. ASDF here in the corner gets one. Hashtag on the door. Ghost takes out ASDF in the corner. It's 3v3. However, No Name is pretty ready for this push now. Hashtag slow walking up to this doorway. However, Ghost is ready for a swing there. Hashtag is just waiting for the right moment. Lean Peak goes out. Plane takes out one. Ghost swings. Gets one. However, Showtime gets that second pick. Now it's a 1v2 clutch situation. He doesn't have EMP. It's on the ground. He could grab it if he wanted to, though. Granted, he doesn't know that the players aren't actively on wall. However, they are rotating now. Player backside could swing him. Ooh, great lean peek there. However, Showtime is able to shut that down. 1v1 now. And Crash Out swings out at the right time, getting the pick. That's going to be match point for No Name. Very good performance from most of the players here, especially on No Name. Very relatively even KDs across the board. Match point for No Name right now, and we're on to middle floor. Bros does seem to be going for an arcade side push. They're going to have to be careful for this player in top arcade. However, they are rotating off. Not a very arcade-oriented defense. This could hurt them. They do have a player here in hallway, though. 2. This could help them in the long run, though, because you tend to want to get both walls blown. However, it is not a necessity. 3 players here by the doorway. You don't usually see that, and there's no one on B. Foam on wall. It's going to start the push in a moment. Wall is blown. Flashbang goes out, gets 2 of them. Another one gets the one in the corner. Not making any moves based off that flashbang, though. Little damage goes out to Bros. However, they get a pick. Crash Out goes down on the door. Hashtag is able to get Chicago evening it out a tiny bit. However, the defense is doing a very good job right now at stalling. A lot of utility. However, Bros is not acting on the utility they throw. Ooh, unfortunate team flash. Elite has gotten 2. Showtime and Ghost responding with 2 of their own. Elite on the roam, though, in arcade. Is able to get the last 2, ending with a 4K, I believe that was. Complete reversal of scores. 7-2 for No Name. Do see a lot of the no-name players leaving. It is possible we will be seeing a server swap or the end of the scrim. Hopefully it's not the second one. Final scores for Bros, if you're interested. No Name has 3 of their players gone already. However, we do see Elite and Crash Out. Elite very good, 10-6. However, is it the end of the scrim? Alright, I guess that's the end of the scrim. I guess. Not quite sure what's going on. Alright, I guess that's the end of the scrim. Thanks for tuning in if you did. I guess it's only 2 maps. I will be casting another one at 9 EST. Fluid versus quite sure what team yet. Looks like it'd be an internal scrim for Fluid, so I'll be interested to see that. Thanks for watching if you did. See you at 9 EST for the Fluid internal scrim.